Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. And we're so glad that you're with us today, whether you're joining us live or watching the show later or listening to it as a podcast. We're really glad you decided to tune in.
I want to remind everybody to tune in to the Voice of Indie podcast on Blog Talk Radio. There's a little tutorial at the end of this show, show you how to get over there. Book World, The Great Escape, is on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock Central Time, and that's on YouTube at CJ Peterson. So you want to catch those if you really like to read and like to hear about authors. This Saturday is episode Rewind. It'll be Rosalind Reed, her episode. That's this Saturday, and that's 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time here in the U.S. Next week on Live, none other than the famous Paul Hollis is going to be our guest. He's an author and a publisher. That's on October 27th. And then next Thursday, we have our Haunted Campfire Tales podcast. That's put on by Tampa Bay Spirits, and we'll discuss post-tsunami hauntings.
Which there are a lot of post-tsunami hauntings.
Should be a pretty interesting show.
And I'm going to show you guys how to use an SLS camera.
Yeah, tools of the trade, the SLS camera.
Yep.
New releases. We have Pringle Prawn by Mike Clifton. It's a very strange name, but I like it. It's kind of catchy.
The name.
Kind of piques your interest. That's a new release that just came out, and then we have The Shaman by Joseph Carabas. That's available for pre-order on the 30th of September. Claire's Island by Becca L. Jones. That's a new release. That's book 2 in the series, and that released back on September 6th. And of course, none other than our own Joe Congel and Second Chances just came out. That's a new release in the Magnolia Bluff series that we'll talk to you about tonight. So let's
see what the comments are.
See what kind of comments we got here.
Chris Chrisman says, "Good evening, Rob and Joan." Good evening, Chris. We're so glad to see you here. Chris also says, "Hi, Joe, CW, and Breakfield and Burkey." And Deering says, "Happy Wednesday, everybody."
Same to you.
Joy
Martin.
Shelton York says, "Hi, Rob and Joan." And Paul Hollis says, "Hi, Rob, Joan, and Magnolia Bluffs team." Hello, everybody. So glad you're here.
The famous Paul Hollis.
The famous Paul Hollis says that.
That's how he wants to be known here.
He does not.
No? Oh, okay. I was mistaken. Okay. Well, why don't we introduce our guest tonight in part 3 on the Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles 2023 release, reveal, I should say. And let's bring everybody up here. And I want to introduce Breakfield and Burkey down in the left corner down there.
It's not
Charles
necessarily
Breakfield.
on that corner with everybody, just so you know. It doesn't always show up.
Okay, they're in the corner.
Well,
okay.
They may not.
Charles,
everyone's in the corner.
Charles and Roxanne,
in the corner.
Welcome this evening. And Joe Congel is in another corner. And in the opposite corner is CW HAWES.
Hey,
I want to welcome all of you guys and thank you so much for spending the evening with us.
All right. Now, you have an order here.
I do? Okay. Yeah, like an order of
no
shepherd's pie. Okay, we're going to talk to Breakfield and Burkey first. Charles and
Christmas says
Roxanne.
You need another few corners. LOL.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Good thing it's not a round screen. We would really have trouble.
Okay, Dave Murray has a question for you, Joe, before we talk to Breakfield and Burkey. Joe, was it difficult starting out with all new locations and characters and second chances?
Yes and no. It was difficult for me to get used to a brand new character for me because Brandon Turner is is new for me as well as Magnolia Bluff. But I had read all the Magnolia Bluffs up to that point, all the books. So the background and Magnolia Bluff as a town and all the people in it were not difficult for me to understand. So it was really just me assimilating my character into that world. So
okay, cool. All right, now let's go back to Charles and Rox, and we're going to talk to you for a minute. Can you tell us a little bit about your book, The Killer Enigma, that just came out in August?
Yep, exactly right. Yeah, it's a fun book. We decided to bring JJ and Joe back to Magnolia Bluff because they just cannot stay away from the paparazzi and all the fame and horrible hauntings that they get when they're out in public, and so they decide they can go hide in Magnolia Bluff.
And the reasoning is when Joe says, "Hon, I want to go back." They're friends there. Those are people that they don't know our other designation. Please, and he goes, "Okay, lightning probably won't strike twice on us on that. So we'll do this."
They don't know Magnolia Bluff very well, do they?
Not yet, but they will learn.
Yeah, they will learn.
Oh dear. So we have another comment. It's from George Dismukes. He says, "Okay, I'm here and fresh in from I'm so sorry. It's my thing is acting all crazy."
It's in the corner.
I know it is. I know where it is.
Which corner?
No, the other corner. The other corner. Okay.
No, I just kept getting notices, and it was going over what he had said, the comment. "Okay, I'm here, fresh in from the front, battle with Amazon, aka battle of the pendejos." As long as you don't speak Spanish, I can say pendejos all day long, but if you do, so sorry. If you don't know, I lived in Guadalajara for 3 years.
Oh.
When you learn I didn't know that.
When you move to another country and you learn a new language, you know what they like to teach you right off the bat? Every
curse word.
Yeah.
Well, those are the words that are important.
Exactly.
I would want to know the word bathroom. That's what I'd want to know.
Baño.
Well, that one's important too.
Yes.
Yeah, and when I lived in Germany, they said, "Okay, here's your inventory of stuff." I still have trouble trying to speak German without swearing, so it's not a good thing for me.
It is. They do. They love to teach you that stuff, don't they? It's like, oh, you need to know.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's really funny. So how did you like writing this one? And by the way, I love your characters so much. I really do. I like them both.
Oh, thank you, Joan, very much. It's interesting. We felt we were very fortunate to even be invited to do season 2, because, the rest of the authors here are really cozy mystery and mystery first, and that's not our first genre. So this has been a real honor to be part of this. And so we thought about this probably 2 days after we launched the first book, trying to figure out what we could come up with in the second book, just to try and get ahead of the game.
Yeah, well, we've already mapped out book number 3 for next year. So full disclosure here, I'd like we're hoping that they'll let us stay.
I think you're.
I don't think there's a problem with that.
Thank you, CW. That's great coming from you. But no, it was really fun to write this particular one, because in this book, JJ and Joe decide that, Magnolia Bluff could be a second home for them, or at least that's their intention at one point in the story. And it's like, wow, this could be a nice getaway. No one will know us. We'll be safe. We'll be hidden. Paparazzi won't find us. And, death just doesn't always strike every day there.
Yeah. And 1 out of 3 isn't bad, okay? So, I'll leave that comment as oblique as it's supposed to be.
Okay. They really ran into some bad characters in the first book. I mean, you know,
Oh yeah,
the lowest of the low, of the earth, and
dreadful characters, and one of them got away. You know, so
yep.
It's not a good thing. But that's not the bad character in this book is actually, you know, it's so phenomenal how people think they can hide a secret. And in small town Texas, hiding a secret is almost impossible.
I'd say practically impossible, but not completely impossible, because that's what makes the thriller series mystery the way it is.
So if you've never been to a small town, and especially in Texas, you know, the top running things that we do in Texas is we gossip like crazy. We argue about religion and politics to ad nauseam. And if we decide to kill somebody, we bury that body as deep as possible.
Sometimes it's not deep enough.
True that. Okay.
Yeah. That's why the Killer Enigma is all about you didn't bury secret. Yeah, you didn't bury it deep enough.
We have a few comments here, like this one especially. I know how to say how much for the both of you in 16 languages.
Wow.
To which Chris...
Nice, Paul. Really nice.
Yeah.
Well, to which Chris Crispin responded, important for single traveling guys. LOL.
We're going to have to change the rating on the show.
Yes.
I get the sense we're kind of going on a detour from cozy mystery. I don't know why.
Yeah, we have a good friend in Argentina that says he helped us where we're down there, and he goes, I said, we only speak English. He goes, it's okay, Charles. I speak Spanglish. We take care of you, okay? Got it.
Spanglish will get you.
Spanglish will. The only way to keep a secret, Chris Crispin says, tell no one. That's true.
Yeah.
But you have to tell someone. Most people do. And Connie Clary says, hello, everyone. I'm sorry I'm late. That's okay.
You are forgiven. Thank
Yes.
you for joining us. So you guys, Rox and Charles, you had something you would like to read? Would you like to read about
Rox loves being able to do this because she gives a high squeaky voice for the mouses and this is the wrong book, right? She likes reading. Okay.
Before you read, Robin Madrich just came in and she said, oh my, sounds intriguing. Yes, I'm sorry you missed the beginning of this whole conversation. This is Robin in case my name doesn't come up. LOL. Yeah, your name is there, Robin.
Yes, sir. We see you.
Okay, we're gonna have a reading now from The Killer Enigma.
Yeah, and so to set this up, you know, in the initial chapter, again, JJ and Joe, since the last book, The Flower Enigma, they've actually gotten married, and they decided that they want to kind of honeymoon somewhere, and a situation kind of presents itself to them to help make their decision on their anniversary plans come to fruition. And so they've arrived at this restaurant where JJ set up a very nice reservation for a romantic Italian restaurant, and things just don't go as planned. So, you know, he comes in and goes, evening, Cecilia, you look lovely, JJ commented. I know your grandma is delighted you're working here. We have reservations, and I hope Mama reserved the back table I requested. Of course she did. Do you need menus tonight? Swaying beside JJ to the music, Joe licked her lips. I always like to look and see if something piques my taste buds. So yes, Cecilia picked up a couple. Right this way, please. Cecilia, did you ever speak to your grandma about your desire to try modeling? Joe asked while they walked toward their table. I'm still waiting to make the introductions to Laura if you get her approval. Setting the menus on the table, the girl looked up, a twinkle in her eyes. Not yet. I still want to work with you at Destiny Fashions, though I doubt I'll get as popular and well-known as you. My 16th birthday is a little over a month away, and I plan to ask her that morning. JJ pushed in Joe's chair as she sat. Joe patted the girl's arm and smiled at her. Let me know when you plan to speak to Laura. If it works out, I'll watch over you too. You must keep up with your studies no matter what. Cecilia's face burst into a grin. Yes, ma'am, I will. Enjoy your dinner. Oh, and we have your Italian-style escargot in wine sauce this evening. Joe opened the menu and peered at JJ over the top. At least we know my appetizer order. I'm so glad we made time to enjoy a dinner out. I do love this place, honey. I agree. The atmosphere is perfect, the food's delicious, and service impeccable. Maybe you'll join me in a dance later before dessert. The waiter appeared, took their orders. He replaced the menus with a warm basket of soft breadsticks and butter. They each broke off a small sample, enjoying the melt-in-your-mouth texture. These are dangerous to me, Joe announced, pushing the basket toward him. He curved his lips as he noticed the love reflected in her eyes, and his heart swelled. You know, it's nearly our first anniversary. I hope you can arrange time off to celebrate before the holiday. I asked Laura the schedule for the first couple of months. I'm sure she'll let me know soon. The music shifted from jazz to traditional Italian, causing them to both look toward the bar. JJ noticed the enormous fig tree with its massive branches appearing to sustain the roof. Strings of red, white, and green lights flickered into the bar and danced on the glasses as they were transported by staff. He heard fragments of intimate conversations between seated couples. Their wine arrived. JJ toasted to their health and love. A sweet tone of their glasses touching punctuated his statement. Joe sipped the wine and expelled a groan of appreciation that put a smile on her well-known face. Honey, I received another letter from Lily. And what did our favorite Texas proprietress have to say? Is she well? Any news of the girls? Of course, she misses us and has a room available whenever we want to return. Renata is learning additional recipes and planning the breakfast menus. Lily says she's excelling at math and art. Joe chuckled. Apparently, Renata still flips between English and Spanish when excited. And Lily says her Spanish is improving, but she still helps Renata with English per Anne's request. She sent along thanks for language software application that you provided. Excellent. What else? A few more incidents happened in town, keeping the gossipers happy and the sheriff busy. Kamala is in some of Renata's classes in high school. Hank and Anne finally finished their formal adoption. The girls have secured a loving home and part-time jobs they love. After school, Camilla helps with caring for their horses and has convinced Hank to offer riding lessons. That means next time we get to visit, we'll see both of them. Good. I know you miss them, sweetheart, but we need at least a week, preferably 2, to enjoy the trip. Maybe, but then we don't get any alone time that you wanted. Staying at the Flower is not exactly romance time that I thought you wanted. There she is, a loud voice announced. Flashbob strolled into their secluded corner. A man, microphone in hand, rushed past the waiters with a cameraman on his heels. JJ stood, blocking the intruders' direct access to Joe. Other diners looked on with interest, but remained seated. The obnoxious pair moved like boxers in a ring, bobbing and weaving to close in on their quarry. The man with the microphone launched into a barrage of questions with the camera filming. Joe W. of Destiny Fashions, how does it feel to be adored by millions? Who's with you? Someone said you got married, but this can't be the guy. He's not a well-known celebrity. Are you cheating on your husband already? Harold, get a shot of this loser. We might find out who he is and do an expose. Without enough room to do anything but keep them from getting too close, JJ slammed the palm of his hand on the table. It sounded like a gunshot.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Very good.
Very good.
Why I can't believe
So what do you think? Do you want to read it? Are you ready, Joan, to read this one?
Yes, I am. I can't believe they said that about him.
I just finished that book today. It was wonderful.
Joe?
Sure
Next day.
it was.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, Chris Christman said hi to Connie and Dave, and Robert White. Gosh, this thing is not working. Robert White says hi from Australia. How are you doing, Robert? And Paul Rushworth Brown is also joining us. He's in Sydney. And Chris Chrisman said about the reading, very nice. And,
thank you, Chris.
And Paul Rushworth Brown said, all the way from sunny Sydney.
Sunny, it's nighttime.
It's morning there.
Oh, yeah.
And Joy Shelton York said, great reading. So, yeah, it's very interesting, and I think it's really good.
So let's tell people where they can reach
Brakefield and Berkey.
For if you wanted to see what Brakefield and Berkey are doing, go to enigmabookseries.com. And I think links to all your social media, everything, that's all on that website.
Right.
Is that right?
It is. And, I just wanted to remind people, we're running a contest, a monthly drawing for a $25 gift card for folks that read any of our stories with a focus on the killer enigma and tells us and posts the link in the Rafflecopter. We pull for $25 every single month.
Excellent.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, go ahead, people. Da, da, da,
And we appreciate reviews. We love the reviews. Thank you.
Earn while you read.
Authors need reviews. Here. Also, you can reach them at this email address, B&B email, authors@Enigma Series. And
Yeah, let's go ahead.
let's go ahead and do the book giveaway for them. Here we go.
Okay, book giveaway. The first 3 people to email authors@enigmaseries.com will win an ebook copy of Killer Enigma. Is that correct?
That is totally correct. Let's do this.
Perfect.
All
Okay,
right.
so good typing, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, they're also having a giveaway of $25 a month, which that is pretty cool. Let me see. Robin Madras says, nice, sounds like the perfect place until yeah, Magnolia Bluff.
Until you turn the page.
I know. It's like dun dun dun. Okay. And George Dismuke says, if you ever need more characters, come visit San Leon. We have a bumper crop. We just spent time there with George.
All right. Why don't we take our first break, and when we come back, we will talk with Joe. Getting some feedback.
There's a
here.
parrot.
Yeah. All right. So everybody,
We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
It's 1919, and Eric Laska returns from the war in Europe. 2 new enemies await him in the small coal mining town he calls home. One is a threat to his relationship with Rebecca, the love of his life. The other, a bloodthirsty beast, is stalking the mining town residents. The townspeople suspect Eric of one of the killings. An old man and Rebecca's 11-year-old sister have seen the beast, but only Eric believes their story. To protect the town and clear his name, he's forced to prove the werewolf exists. Available on Amazon. The Horror Within by Marjorie Swift Doring.
Paradise, my prison. Charlie Flint awakens from a deep sleep and finds himself alone on a tropical beach surrounded by a palm tree jungle and exotic animals. He cannot remember who he is or anything about his life. First, he must find food and build shelter and protect himself from hidden dangers. As his memory gradually returns, it reveals what a very flawed person he is. A man who made too many mistakes, made too many enemies. The implications of the truth are staggering. How did Charlie get there? And will he save himself? Paradise, My Prison is the riveting new suspense thriller from retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. Paradise, My Prison by George Dismukes is available in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats worldwide.
Okay, and we're back.
We're back.
And we lost Charles, but that's okay. He'll catch up, right?
Okay, Joe, you want to
Yes.
tell us about your book?
Sure, I can do that. My book is called Second Chances. It's book 17 in the series, and it is out now. Just actually came out on Monday, and it's a little different for me. I'm used to my Razzman series and a little bit different type of book style than what this is. But Brandon Turner, who's a new character for me, he's a retired NYPD narcotics officer who had an issue while he was on the force, decided to retire, take an early retirement, and just move away from it all. So he ends up in Magnolia Bluff somehow, essentially to start over and have a new life. So he gets down there, and within, I don't know, not even a day, really things start to change for him when it comes to how this retirement thing is going to go. What he imagined it would be versus what it's turning out to be. So of course he finds a body, him and a young lady that that's showing him some properties where he can hopefully find a home and live. And the shenanigans ensue from there. He meets up with the resident detective in Magnolia Bluff, and those two kind of rub each other the wrong way throughout the book. And I think it's just a fun story. It's a little different. It's a mystery on one level, but it's a different type. It's more of a kind of a why done it than necessarily a who done it. The audience or the reader knows early on really kind of who the culprits are, who the bad guys are, but it does take Brandon a little bit more time to really figure that out. So,
well, I noticed a dog on the cover.
Yes.
And what is the dog's role?
The dog's name is Max, and Max is Brandon Turner's family. It's his best friend. It's really who he shares his innermost secrets with, I guess you could say. He's never been married. Brandon, I'm talking about, has never been married. And, both his parents have passed away. So really, and he has no siblings. So really all he's got is him and his dog. So his dog does kind of play a prominent role throughout the book. I think it's interesting how I got the dog worked in there. So.
Good. I'm looking forward to that. And I assume the dog's never been married either.
The dog has not been married and has no siblings, no kids.
Yeah. So they were really
exactly.
good buddies. Yeah.
The dog's only 2 years old. Give him some time,
Yeah. And so, son of a gun. All right. I feel so bad for Catherine McKean. She says Magnolia Bluff is just like my town.
That I can attest to that. That's my sister, actually.
How do you pronounce her last name correctly?
McKean.
Okay,
McKean. Yeah, and she lives in Poland, New York, and it is a very small little town up near the Adirondacks, between Utica and the Adirondacks. And she's right. There's a lot of the same kind of stuff, other than the murders. I mean, the murders aren't.
I was just going to say,
unless you want to count the deer that get run down because they're all over the road all the time. But
right, yeah.
So, Joe, you're new to Magnolia Bluff yourself.
Yes,
and tell us what kind of challenges you found in integrating into a system that's already in place.
Well, the biggest thing for me was trying to figure out what I really wanted to write. It would have been very easy to take Tony Razzolito and kind of have him visit Magnolia Bluff and really do a similar story to what I was doing. But I wanted to challenge myself because I haven't written a lot of books, in my short time as an author. And most of them have been, the Tony Razzolito series. So I wanted to try something different and, but not stray too far away. So I still went with, in this case, a police detective. But a retired police detective, because I had to give him a reason why he ends up in Magnolia Bluff. So I kind of mixed a little bit of what I knew with someone that would come from my home state, New York, and put him into, the Texas Hill Country, which I knew nothing about other than what I've read in the Magnolia Bluff books. So, because quite honestly, I'd never heard of the Texas Hill Country until the Magnolia Bluff books. My time in Texas has been my daughter, when she graduated from the Air Force Academy, I was down at Lackland Air Force Base, and that's my time in Texas. So didn't have a lot of background there other than reading the books. But the books was really all I needed because there's such a rich group of characters and history within what has already been written, that it wasn't really that hard to really get a feel for it. It took me a little bit of time to get it right. What was really nice for me, though, is that I did have the opportunity during the time I was writing this book to really spend some time with some of the other members of the Underground Authors, CW being one of them, and they kind of helped me shape, my character into Magnolia Bluff. So that worked out really well for me. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. Christine Mabbitt, I think Mabbitt.
Yeah, this is my sister-in-law. So.
We got that from the CONGEL.
The CONGEL kind of gave that
Yeah,
away.
it did. Yeah. Or else it would have been a very wild coincidence.
Yeah.
Joe, your books are wonderful. I love reading them.
She does. She is such a fan. It's crazy. Nice. Her mom is a really big fan. Maybe a bigger fan than she is, though.
So was it helpful to have a town all set up?
Oh, that was extremely helpful. I can't even imagine what it was probably like for these guys during the first round, because they were inventing it as they went along. CW really kind of laid the groundwork in book one, which gave everybody a foundation. But, every book was something new. I had an awful lot, really, 16 other books really to really kind of rely on. The first 9 specifically to rely on, because when I started my book, that's really where they were at. But it gave me a really good foundation of where I needed to be as far as putting my character, Brandon, and the real estate agent, which is also a new character for me, into that world. So yeah, it was an interesting time for me to say the least, trying to get that done.
Chris Christmas says it's great when your family reads and likes what you write.
Oh yeah, and Chris is amazing with that. She's fantastic about that. Yeah.
And Marjorie Deering says, Joe, it's nice to know your family members like you.
Well, somebody's got to buy my books, so why not them, right?
Oh, and now CW, your sister-in-law, is saying hello.
Oh,
you will. Your sister-in-law from Toronto, Canada.
This is truly an international show to me.
It is.
Canada,
Australia, Canada, Texas. Yeah, that's a country by itself. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Well,
half the people on this panel are from Texas. Those of you who don't know.
Joe.
Yes.
Are you ready to read? Understand, little birdie told me you would like to read a passage.
Yeah, I can read a passage here. Just to kind of set this up a little bit. I'm gonna put my little reading glasses on, or this isn't gonna go well. To just set this up, this is a passage after the body is found by Brandon Turner, and the real estate agent Joyce Blackstone discover the body, and you need to read the book to find out how that happens. But Turner went back to the scene of the crime after the fact, and that's where this kind of picks up. His interaction is really with Detective Sovereign throughout this one. So Turner was walking along the side of the road, trying to find a fresh footprint in the dirt or any other trace of someone recently being on the road. What are you doing back here? Turner whirled around and stood face to face with Detective Sovereign. Damn, he thought, this could get a little sticky. When we were leaving earlier, I thought I saw something on the road that looked suspicious. Thought I'd check it out. Sovereign tilted his head and squinted at him. Now, why would you do that, Mr. Turner? I'm a concerned citizen. Mumbled Sovereign. He was eyeing Turner while working that same cigar back and forth in his mouth. Well, Mr. Concerned Citizen, what do you think you saw? A man. I thought I saw a man crossing the road right about here, he said, waving his hand along the side of the road where they were standing. I happened to glance in my rearview mirror and caught a glimpse of someone, but when I looked again, he was gone. Well, I don't know how things are where you come from, but round here, there's no law that says a man can't cross the road. Ever hear of jaywalking, Detective? Turner said in a sarcastic tone. Ever hear of 3 hots and a cot, Turner? Sovereign shot back. Because that's where you're headed if you don't start being straight with me. Turner blew out of breath. He probably shouldn't have come back to the scene. He knew there was a chance that the investigation would still be going on at the dock, yet something inside of him pushed him to return and look around. Now he'd put himself in a position that forced him to tell Sovereign the truth or face an obstruction charge. Let's just say I dabbled in law enforcement in my past life. Sovereign squinted at him again. You a cop? Retired, he said. Detective. 23 years with the New York City Police Department, Narcotics Division, Lower East Side. Sovereign stared at Turner. That explains your attention to detail when we spoke earlier, he said. I guess you can take the man out of the job, but you can't take the job out of the man. He nodded. This changes things, Turner. Changes things how, he said, furrowing his brow. I can already see you have good instincts, replied Silverin. You found the body and you're a cop. Your perspective could be helpful. Former cop, he said sternly while folding his arms across his chest. And I already told you everything I know about the body. He paused, then added, well, except this. I think the victim is Jeff Peterson, a road construction worker. I saw him at the bed and breakfast I'm staying at. That's right, confirmed the detective. The dead guy is Jeff Peterson. And I'm assuming that since you referred to him as the victim, you also think he was murdered. Look, Silverin, I don't know if he was murdered or took his own life. What I do know is that it's your job to figure that out, not mine. Yet here you are, following up on a lead. Turner glared at Silverin. Like you said, detective, you can't take the job out of the man. And I was on that job for 23 years. The first 15 as a homicide detective, and then 8 years busting crackheads and dealers in one of the rougher areas in the city. He shook his head. That's enough for me. Yet here you are, repeated Silverin. I wasn't following up on a lead, Turner said, his voice stern. The man looked out of place. He was hunkered down in a squatting position as he made his way across the road. It didn't smell right. I figured if I came back and found something that might help, I would turn it over to you and the fine men and women of the Magnolia Bluff Police Department. Take it from there. He stared at Silverin. That's all. I'm retired and I plan on staying that way. Silverin chomped on his cigar and appeared to be pondering what he'd just heard. Turner hoped the detective would take him at his word and leave him alone. He didn't want to get mixed up in a murder case 2 days after arriving in town, or ever. He turned away from Silverin, who still had his thinking cap on, and noticed that the road where they were standing was high enough that he could look over and see part of the lake. He wondered when he'd get the chance to pull a bass or a nice catfish out of that lake. Silverin interrupted his thoughts. Okay, have it your way, Turner, he said. But since you're here, tell me again what you saw. Turner blew out an audible breath. I'll tell you what I don't see, he said. Orange pylons. I don't see any orange pylons lining the road, any men at work signs, and I don't see any trucks. When I was at the B&B this morning, Lily told me that Peterson and his crew only ate breakfast there when they were working a job. She said they were repairing a stretch of road out near the reservoir. So where is all the stuff that would normally slow you down when driving by the roadwork? It didn't occur to me when Joyce and I drove out earlier and that there was no road work happening. But now that I know the body belongs to Peterson, it makes me think that he and whoever he was with at the B&B this morning were out this way for something other than repairing the road. Silverin slowly nodded his head. Good information, Turner, he said. I'd like you and Ms. Blackstone to come by the station tomorrow and give me an official statement about everything. Can you come out of retirement long enough to do that? Turner didn't like Silverin. He understood him, but he didn't like him. He reminded him too much of some of the guys he'd worked with in New York, trying to be the hard-ass cop who isn't as smart as he thinks he is. What time, detective? Any time after 11, he said. By the time I leave here tonight, I'm going to need my beauty sleep in the morning. He grinned at Turner. Oh, and you might want to take a shower before showing up tomorrow. You smell all fishy like you took a dive in the reservoir. Turner walked back toward his truck, shaking his head. When he was about 20 yards down the road, he turned around, threw both his hands and flipped off Silverin. The detective, seeing the double birds flying his way, yelled out, "What the hell are you doing, Turner?" "Just waving good night," he said sarcastically. "See you in the morning, detective."
That was great.
Bravo.
There you go.
Just waving goodbye.
Yeah.
I salute you.
Yes, exactly. Well, and these two guys kind of are at odds throughout the whole book for the most part. And it was one of the more enjoyable parts for me because, I was taking a character that really belonged to CW and integrating him into my book. And what I really liked about it was that CW gave it his blessing because I wasn't sure how he was going to take my version of Detective Children.
Well, we had talked about that before, and as far as I'm concerned, it was pretty doggone spot on. I could have written it, so
awesome. That's a really great compliment.
That's quite a compliment. Yeah.
So Chris Chrisman says, "You guys are." Whoops. I'm having trouble tonight, folks. Chris Chrisman said, "You guys are a worldwide presence."
Don't click.
Yes. And Paul Hollis says, "I'm hooked." That's awesome. And Rita, let me see, Turberville says, "The wave seemed appropriate, LOL."
Yeah, that's my daughter. So.
And then Chris Chrisman said, "Joe, did you ask CW to read what you wrote before publishing?"
He actually did read most of that before I published it. So yes.
And Joyce Shelton York said, sounds fun. Love the retired detective.
Thanks, Joy.
Yeah, it sounds authentic.
Yeah.
They both sound authentic.
So let's.
And I know because my brother's a retired narc.
There we go. Let's tell people how to reach you, Joe, on your website. You can go to joecongelfictionstories.blogspot.com. That's if you can understand what the heck I'm saying.
Yep.
And it's JoeCongelfictionstories blogspot.com.
Okay.
All right, we got that. And
we're doing that for the people who are listening to the podcast who
Correct.
can't see the banner, for those of you who don't know.
Right. And his email, if you want to write to him, is jc.razzman@gmail.com. And that's RAZZMAN. And for your book giveaway, it looks like your second chances giveaway is the first 3 people to email jc.razzman@gmail.com will win an ebook copy of Second Chances.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay, so get to typing, guys.
Yeah, so that's 6
You need
books
to get it out there.
all together because Brakefield and Burkey are giving away their Killer Enigma and Joe is giving away Second Chances.
And if you didn't catch this live tonight, if you're listening to it on the audio or you're watching it on
YouTube or
YouTube or on Facebook after the fact, after this is played, still go ahead and enter. And, if they have extra copies, maybe they weren't all given away, or maybe you'll hit them on a good day and they'll say, okay, we'll send you one.
And once again, I want to remind you that Brakefield and Burkey are having a giveaway once a month of a $25 gift card. So we're very excited about that.
Let's leave
I
this
gotcha.
up there. We'll leave that up there for a little bit. And I think we need to take our next break.
I do too.
All right.
All right.
All right. So hang on just a second, everybody. Stay tuned, and we will be right back.
The clock is ticking. Can Gracie uncover the truth?
Philip Pliant is the wealthy opportunist plastics dealer and CEO of Pliant Industries. He's also a master thief, creating a pervasive threat to the manufacturing infrastructure in the Caribbean islands markets. With the cartel as his stealth client, the naive city leaders have been seduced, enabling the production of more than 3-dimensional building materials.
The expected profits are monstrous.
Is the art group, now led by Gracie and the family heirs, strong enough to win against this predator?
Can JJ's cats act on the root cause analysis in time?
Will Gracie be able to squash Pliant and the cartels?
Gracie never considered their lives would hang in the balance. The clock is ticking. 5, 4, 3.
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Behold, this one about a man, a woman, a black jaguar, and an ancient Maya legend. Two Faces of the Jaguar is a novel by George Dismukes that will take you deep into the jungle and capture your imagination until the last word. Two Faces of the Jaguar is book 1 of a trilogy. Two Faces of the Jaguar, where only the adventurous dare to read.
Two Faces of the Jaguar, The Lost City, and The Jaguar's Quest are available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and many other bookseller websites. Two Faces of the Jaguar, the book people are talking about. Get your copy today.
Madison Jackson loved being a cop. A young girl is raped and murdered near Burnett Reservoir. Madison vows to get justice for the child. Madison travels to the heart of Mexican cartel country. She is kidnapped, tortured. Will Madison ever make it home? Justice by Kelly Marshall, only at Amazon.com.
And welcome back to everybody who's joined the show recently. Just want to remind you that we're watching authors from the Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles. And we have already talked with Brakefield and Burkey, who wrote Killer Enigma. That came out in August, I think. And we just finished talking with Joe CONGEL, who wrote Second Chances. Brakefield and Burkey, this is their second book in the series, and Joe's first.
And his just came out Monday.
Yep.
So brand new, hot off the presses.
Yes, it is.
The ink is not dry.
Yes, yes.
Well, hopefully it is dry.
And they're both giving away copies, ebook copies of their books. And so we will run all those addresses again at the end of the show.
Right.
But now we want to hear from CW.
Hi, CW.
Hey, greetings.
You got one not off the presses yet.
Not off the presses yet, no.
Tell us a little bit about 10 Million Ways to Die.
10 Million Ways to Die. It comes out next month. And basically it is a brand new murder mystery, but it continues the character arcs of Harry Thurgood and Ember Cole, who's the pastor of the Methodist Church in town. And so we have all kinds of exciting, rollicking, really dastardly fun things happening to Harry and Ember. And our good buddy Reese Sovereign, he just has Harry in his sights for everything bad that happens in Magnolia Bluff. And so there we have it. And I would say that this book is, I think it's about the longest thing I've written. It's over 72,000 words. And somebody was saying that it's like I have about 12 balls in the air and I'm all trying to juggle them. And that's what it felt like writing it. There were so many different subplots going on. I really had to have all those notepads out there to make sure I didn't miss anything. So
that sounds good. For people who don't know, tell them what establishment Harry owns.
Harry Thurgood owns the really good wood-fired coffee shop, known by the locals as the Really Good. And so I have lots of fun with puns on that. The Really Good. So, but that's what he owns. And he blows into town, well, now 4 years ago, and buys up an old building that was abandoned, blows a whole bunch of cash to get it presentable and to get his coffee shop going. And for 4 years, with very few patrons, that coffee shop is still in business. And the locals want to know why.
Because he uses very expensive coffee beans.
It
is.
It is. And Harry has very little money over there in Gunter Feit's bank.
So
and Gunter's wife, Mary Lou, who is one nasty piece of work.
Yeah, she's a busybody.
Yeah, well, she's more than the busybody.
Well,
well, a lot of people, I suppose, see her as a busybody, but she's really mean and nasty. So
she is. I don't want to say what she is on the air.
Yeah, no, you don't want to. So it's in this book, we find out that she literally has hired private detectives to try to find out Harry's
backstory. Wow. Well, she's cared about that for.
Yeah, she's sort of. So. She's obsessed there.
Yeah.
So
tell them about the sign we saw.
Yeah, we dropped something off at the bank. I think it was for Harry, and we were doing something, and we drove past this the end of this restaurant, and there was a huge sign, wood fired, and we half expected it to say really good on the other side. It didn't say that. It just said wood fired.
Just said wood fired. Oh,
yeah.
So
then it said seafood and steaks.
Yeah, seafood and
steaks. Well, it's, I don't know. I don't think it's even a mile from the house here. There's a coffee shop, and I drove past it one day, and I was trying to hammer out the first book and what Harry's business would be called. And this is full disclosure here. I hate coffee.
Oh
my goodness.
I do. I can't stand it.
You write about it like you really
I know.
Love it like it's an art form,
I know. But I actually hate coffee.
Well, I love coffee.
Well, I'm glad you do.
We may have to edit this part out of the podcast.
No.
So I'm racking my brain. What can we call this place? Because obviously we don't want to riff off of Starbucks or something like that.
No.
So I whizzed by this place, and it says Summer Moon Wood-Fired Coffee.
Really?
Yes. And I found out that actually it's a Texas company, and it's a big thing here in Texas. So I said, oh, that is really good. Now, I had no idea what wood-fired coffee was, but I said, who cares? It sounds good. So I decided, well, we'll drop Summer Moon, obviously. And so I took wood-fired coffee. Well, let's see, what can we put with that? Well, obviously, it's really good.
Really good. There you go.
There you go.
That's awesome. What's really funny is that our daughter, Jessie, some of her really good friends that she's known since she was a kid, import beans and roast them and everything, and have quite a huge business here in Tampa of really expensive coffee beans and ground coffee. And it's a very expensive endeavor.
It can be. Yeah, it can be. In the reading that I have here, Harry is bemoaning the fact that his wholesaler doesn't have beans from St. Helena. And the coffee beans on St. Helena Island, where Napoleon was exiled.
Yep.
They're like the rarest in the world. And Harry's saying, who wouldn't have these? So that gives you some idea of where Harry's at,
Well, that's kind of like what Jesse's friends are.
Like, there you go. See, it's a real life thing.
It is a real life thing where coffee is their whole life and they know everything about it. And we're just like, okay.
So tell us a little bit about your cover for those that are listening and can't see it.
Well, the cover was designed by Crispian Thoroughborn at Wildwood Books, and it has the standard "Welcome to Magnolia Bluff" logo sign at the top, and then it has the Underground Authors Present, and in the background of that there's a Bible with a cross on it, which gives you a hint as to some of the themes going on in the book. And then we have the title, 10 Million Ways to Die. And instead of an I for die, there's a syringe. And that plays a little part in the nefarious proceedings that take place in the novel. And then we have below that this beautiful, beautiful curled up snake in red. And then, and below that, my name, in case you want to know that. So what the irony of the whole thing is, I gravitated to that cover out of, well, Crispian sent about like 10 different samples, but I gravitated to that one immediately. And after I said, yeah, that's the one I want, we adjusted the size of the syringe. He said, you know, it's kind of ironic. I used the same color palette as I did for your first book for that one.
Wow.
I said, well, that is. So, hey,
you like what you like, right?
You like what you like.
You use what works.
Exactly.
So you mentioned reading. Would you like to?
I did, and I do.
Okay. All right.
So a little background here, so you know what's going on. We're at the Really Good, and Harry has some of his friends there, drinking coffee, chewing the fat, and so the important thing to know here is that Harry and Ember are really sweet on each other. We kind of picked that up in the first book, but because Ember has a past that she's really, really ashamed of, she didn't want to get into any kind of a relationship with Harry. And Harry has a secret life that he isn't going to tell anybody about. And so, you know, this was like, how is this even going to work? Well, in book one, it doesn't really work. But Ember has a chat with the visiting Father Frank in Jim Callan's book. And that kind of helps her to thaw a little bit. So by the time we come to the present here in 10 Million Ways to Die, Ember and Harry are kind of dating. But because she's the pastor and she's under fire from Mary Lou, who wants her fired, you know, they keep their relationship kind of low key. So, but it's important to understand that they are a thing, and everybody knows they're a thing because, of course, it's a small town. How can they not? You know. So you need to know that, though, for the ending, because there's a really cool pun there. So, all right, so here we go. Harry read down the list of green coffee beans available from the wholesaler and groaned. Not for the first time, he told himself. He needed to find a different coffee bean vendor. What coffee seller would not have St. Helena coffee available? The hum of the conversation and the floral citrus scent of the brewing Ethiopian Yirgachifi drifted to and fro like waves gently washing a white sand beach. He looked up and saw Caroline McCluskey, the town librarian, and her friend Magnolia Nadine stand and pick up their umbrellas. Leaving already, he said. There's still plenty of coffee. Before either Caroline or Magnolia Nadine could answer, an enormous mountain of a man squeezed through the door and entered the Really Good. He was wearing a black raincoat that looked big enough to do double duty as a revival tent, and on his head was an oilcloth Outback-style hat. The drops of drizzle glistened in the lights of the shop like tiny diamonds. With his arms spread wide, his deep baritone voice thundered, "May the Lord bless you one and all." The stranger had everyone's attention. Reverend Billy Bob Baskin, caught the eye of Reverend Ember Cole and raised an eyebrow. Jack Bonhoeffer looked up from the book he was reading at his seat by the cash register. The man seated by the window stopped scrolling on his phone. And Graham Houston, owner and editor of the Magnolia Bluff Chronicle, the town's only newspaper, pulled out his notebook and pencil and started writing. Fergus, the town drunk, applauded. Caroline and Magnolia Nadine resumed their seats. The enormous man continued, I am Brother John, a wanderer, a pilgrim, a stranger in a strange land. I have been guided to this fair city so that I may raise the lamp of the Lord to look into the hearts of men and women. Houston's eyes opened wide and he muttered, shoot! Bunyan, Heinlein, and Diogenes. Which of you gentle people is the proprietor of this esteemed establishment? The man slowly moved his head to take in everyone present. Harry stood and circled around his table, saying as he walked up to the man, I'm Harry Thurgood. I own this esteemed establishment. Brother John, at your service, good sir. He gave Harry a deep nod of his head. Perhaps you will be so kind as to grant this servant of our gracious Lord and magnificent master a boon. From the corner of his eye, Harry noticed Ember was struggling to keep a straight face, which made the task even more difficult for him to do likewise. Well, Brother John, I suppose it depends on the boon. A humble request, good sir. I would like to put a placard in your window to inform the good folk of your town that the Lord has seen fit to bring to them and to you, good sir, Brother John's traveling salvation and holiness extravaganza, and the divine voices of the Reston family singers. Harry looked over at the table where his friends were staring at the Man Mountain, then turned his attention back to Brother John. Well, sir, that is quite a boon. Surely you cannot see it as a huge request. It is but one placard placed in your window. It's not a huge request, and it's certainly reasonable. But you see, Harry pointed to the table where his friends were seated. There is the Reverend Billy Bob Baskin, pastor of the Presbyterian Church here in Magnolia Bluff. And the woman seated across from him is the Reverend Ember Cole, who is the pastor of the Methodist Church. Brother John gave each of them a slight nod of his massive head. Harry continued. I keep the religious peace, so to speak, by not taking sides. My shop is free from religious favoritism. However, let me make up for declining your boon by offering you a cup of coffee on the house. Very well, good sir. I will take you up on your offer. A hot cup of Java will push away the chill. Yes, it will. May I have that to go? Certainly. And before Harry could get behind the counter, Estrelita appeared before the newcomer with a tall cardboard cup and a paper bag. She handed both to Brother John. Thank you, young lady. He took the items and peered into the bag. A smile spread across his face. May the Lord bless you, young lady. May he make his face shine upon you, and may he give you peace. Estrelita blushed, and Brother John, giving everyone a nod, said, "May the Lord bless you one and all," and squeezed back through the door into the wind and the drizzle. Harry whispered to Estrelita, "What did you put in the bag?" "A cheese Danish." "Well, that sure earned you a few brownie points." She blushed again and walked back behind the counter. Houston turned from watching the Man Mountain leave and said, "I like that, Thurgood. Free from religious favoritism. Of course, we all know that there's a little Methodist to your madness." Everyone broke out laughing, and Ember turned 50 shades of crimson.
Very good. I like
Yay,
that.
very good. Very good. Very good. Really good.
Really good. It's really good. Yes.
That was so good. Now, do you do audiobooks and do you read your own? You should.
Well, you know, it's one of those things that's on the docket. Thanks, Paul.
Let me read what Paul said. Powerful and fun read. Thanks, CW.
Yep. Thanks, Paul.
And Marjorie Deering says,
Oh, thanks,
wonderfully written,
Marjorie.
wonderfully performed, CW. Go ahead.
Thanks, Marjorie.
You were saying?
Yes, I actually took a course on DIY audiobooks.
Audio.
Yep. And so I finally got the equipment for that. Well, it's a couple of years ago now. Well, but it's, you know, quite honestly, it's trying to find the time to sit down and just do it.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, when you're an indie author, this is the struggle. Number one, you're the author.
Yeah.
You're the one writing the books.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number two, you're the publisher. You're the one publishing the books, marketing the books, you're editing the books, you're formatting the books, you're doing all of that unless you're rich and can have somebody else do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
so
not
you're
rich.
To say you're busy?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's actually on the docket. It is something I would like to do to get my own books into audiobook. So I'm trying to work on it.
Cool. Because you'll do a great job.
Thank you.
CW Hawes website, all of his social media links and everything are all on there, and you can reach him on there. That's www.cwhawes.com. That's CWHAWES for those that can't see. That didn't come out right, did it? All right. Well, anyway, for those that are just listening on the audio, let me put it that way. All right. And then CW's email is cwhawes@gmail.com. And his book giveaway, get ready to type, everybody. The first 3 people to email cwhawes@gmail.com will win an ebook copy of 10 Million Ways to Die.
Yes.
Woohoo!
And that, of course, book in a few weeks.
Right.
So for all of us that are indie publishers, we understand exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd like to let you know that the audiobooks, when you try and get them formatted, you're going to find out that it's even more picayune than doing the book.
Yeah, that's what I understand. And you know, that's why I was looking for a course that was basically audio books for dummies. Seriously.
Yeah.
And I found it offered by Derek Depker.
Okay.
It's an excellent course. It does cost money, obviously.
Yeah.
Because Derek likes to eat, and like all of us. And but it's an excellent course, and he literally he could call it audiobooks for dummies, but maybe that's taken. But that's exactly what it is. And he gives you everything step by step by step. And he says, do not deviate from this plan or you will mess it up.
And they will send it back to you and say, we will not produce it until you have
it's another 3 or 4 months before you'll
even get it on.
Because you go back at the beginning of the queue again.
Yep, you do.
Exactly.
So is this book 18 in the series?
What's yours, Joe? 17? Yeah, then mine's 18.
Yeah, Joe's 17. Okay, so we have 16, 17, and 18 tonight. This is great.
Chris Chrisman says, churches, our small town of 4,000 has 28 churches.
28 churches.
Oh, my.
Whoa.
Do you live in Oklahoma?
Missouri. He lives in Missouri.
I know he lives in Missouri.
Yeah, I don't know that we have that many, but we have a few. Yeah, we had a debate actually about churches and bars. We wanted to make sure that it was like a real small town. Yeah, so that they were at least an even number, or the bars outnumber the churches.
Got to be fair, you know.
Yes, we had to be fair.
Have balance.
When Rob went to the academy to become an air traffic controller, we lived in Oklahoma City while he was studying there. And there were literally churches on every corner.
Every corner
in OKC.
Yeah. That's a church capital right there.
It is. It is. And they are serious about it.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Anyway, that was really good. That was really, we appreciated all of the reading. All of you are wonderful. All of the books sound amazing. And even though they're all in the same town and it all involves the same people, many of the same people, you know what I mean? I just love the way everybody comes at it differently, because that's the way real life is. That's the way we all look at things differently, you know? And I love that. It makes a much fuller experience of what you're reading, because you get all these different viewpoints. I love it so much.
Well, that's what I've always liked about Magnolia Bluff as a series, because every book is different, like you just said. So there's something for everyone. I mean, it's from cozy to psychological thrillers and everything in between, you know. So there's a lot of stuff to choose from, and they're all standalone. You can read them in a series and have a wonderful understanding of the town and the people in the town, which makes it really enjoyable. But you can just pick and choose the ones that maybe you prefer and read those as well and enjoy them in the same way, because you can get the same type of satisfaction out of reading one book as you can, you know. You don't have to read the series. We want you to read the series, but it's nice because if you pick up on book 16 or 17 or 18, you're still going to get an enjoyable experience. So that's what's nice.
Definitely. You might not get all the little innuendos, but
I think what's really neat is it reflects a small town.
Yes.
So anybody who interacts with anyone in their town, they have their own perspective. And so every one of our characters reacts to other characters from their point of view, which makes it really, really realistic, I guess would be the right term.
You know what's funny about the small town motif is that we live in Dallas, Rox and I do, and there's people who live on the north side of Dallas that never been to south side. There are people who live on the south side who never go to the east or west or north because it's too far. And so you have this small town motif even in the big towns. And so it's almost universal. It's like, okay, I'm in a small town. I'll admit it. I'm from a small town in South Dallas that nobody goes to. But I know everybody's business. I know what cars they drive. I know who drives too fast down the street. You know, that kind of stuff. So it's amazing that small town motif is still so pervasive.
Yeah.
The only difference with Magnolia Bluff, it's a small, deadly town.
Well, there is that. Yeah, you know, it's funny when you take the small roads across Texas, the back roads, not the big freeways and all that stuff, but you go to small roads. Every single town has a town cemetery, and it is the most advertised place in any small town. So trust me, you need to go look at some headstones. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of do that all the time. As a
Have to be
matter
so
of
morbid
fact,
about it. Okay, fine. Yeah.
as a matter of fact, when we were staying in Texas, we were in Weatherford.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Weatherford's a small town, and it has, I think, at least 5 cemeteries. And some of them go way back. And yes, we did visit. But yeah, the small towns love their cemeteries.
Well,
they really
was a
do.
grave situation.
It was.
A very grave
Another dad
situation.
joke from Rob. Your kids will be proud, Rob.
Marjorie Daring says, when is yours due, Joan and Rob? And she's talking about our book, not a child.
Tell us, Joan. Come on.
Wow.
Let's hear about it.
That would be like the miracle of Sarah. So it was supposed to be January, but now it's been pushed back to April.
Oh.
Due to the 2 months that we spent traveling all over the country, we didn't think it would put us back as far as it did. We thought we'd have a lot more time to write on that trip than we did.
Well, we spent more time fixing things.
Yeah,
so.
It was a very interesting trip. Everything that could have happened did happen, I think, to the trailer.
Including a murder. Yeah.
Including a murder. Yeah.
Can't wait to hear your book.
Yeah,
I want to see your book.
I want to hear about it too. Yes, absolutely.
The murder that we actually saw on our trip, or the book?
Oh, no, your book. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We expect the murder will be in the book, so there it is.
I don't think we'll put the murder that we actually had happen near us in the book.
But it does sound like that trip could be a book or a short story or something. Yeah. So
that trip should have been a book.
Yeah,
it should have been a book.
But it wasn't. Unfortunately, it was real. But it was also like every other trip we've ever taken. That's the way all of our trips go. They're always crazy. Crazy things happen. Like I said to my daughter when I was talking to her on the phone, I said, I wish I could say that it's the first time that we've seen a murder on vacation, but I can't.
To be clear, we're not the murderers.
No.
Just want to straighten that out.
That's what,
yeah.
Rob, that's what they all say. Okay, got it.
And I wish I could say it was the first time that the tire blew out on our trailer, but I can't. I mean, it's just like so many things, bizarre things happen that we have an interesting life, to say the least.
Yeah. Well,
it's been a great night, you guys.
This has been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, Magnolia Bluff does not disappoint. So,
can we put up again?
We can do
the
whatever
emails
we want to do
for each book giveaway to give.
Okay.
To tell people.
All right.
So first is Brakefield and Berkey.
First is Brakefield and Berkey.
Yep.
Okay. There we go. You want to win a free copy of Killer Enigma? Go to www.enigmabookseries.com.
And the first 3 people to email?
And the email authors@enigmaseries.com. And of course, they've got their monthly drawing as well.
$25 a month.
$25. That's a lot of money.
And again, Joe Congel's website is Joe Congel Fiction Stories, blogspot.com. It's .blogspot.com. And his email is jc.razzman@gmail.com. And the name of his book is Second Chances. Second Chances giveaway. The first 3 people to email jc.razzman@gmail.com will win an ebook copy of Second Chances. And last, definitely not least, is C.W. Hawes' website, cwhawes.com. His email is cwhawes@gmail.com. And 10 Million Ways to Die giveaway. The first 3 people to, I'm sorry, that's a funny title. I like it. The first 3 people to email cwhawes@gmail.com will win an ebook copy of 10 Million Ways to Die. And we're all hoping that there are 10 million ways to die in that book.
Well, I didn't have space to spell them all out.
Oh wow.
Words,
but I gave some key ones. So
good. Good. And I don't know if this was on purpose, whether the young man who did the cover did it on purpose or not, but there was a great counterpoint with the cross on the Bible and then the syringe underneath. I liked the way that was.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't ask for details, but I know that Crispian is pretty much a perfectionist and very thoughtful about how he structures and creates his covers. So I suspect that he was doing that on purpose.
I think so too. It was really well done.
Really well done. Yeah. So,
yeah, he does a great job.
Yeah, he's an excellent cover designer.
Paul Hollis says, so much fun tonight. Thanks to all. Rob, Joan, Charles, Roxy, Joe, and CW.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Paul.
And we were on a podcast with Paul this afternoon.
Yeah.
He's the co-host of the Neil Haley show.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
It was.
It was kind of fun to be on the other end.
Yeah, it was. Got to talk all about us.
Yeah, there you go. So CW, thank you. Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Charles and Roxy, thank you. And
Thank you.
Going to move you over to the side here. Whoop, there we go. Got you over there. All right. And want to remind everybody to tune in next week for Paul Hollis, author and publisher. That's October 27th, right here, same time, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Next Thursday is Haunted Campfire Tales podcast, Tampa Bay Spirits, 1.com.
And that'll be haunted tsunamis.
Post-tsunami hauntings, yes. And let's see, what else we got? Anything else here? I don't think so.
That's it.
I think we are done.
I do too.
And
thanks, everyone.
thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Tonight.
Thank you.
It was a great show.
Until next time.
Yes, it was.
Good night.
Good night.
Live every Wednesday, your Voice of Indie hosts Beam Weeks and Stephen Gees welcome authors, musicians, publishing industry pros, artists, and assorted creative guests for an exciting interactive hour. Call in during the show or post questions and comments on Twitter for responses in real time. Meet your favorite indie creators, learn inside tips, network, and promote your work. The link for each week's show is pinned on Twitter atop @VoiceOfIndie. And you can receive the link every Wednesday morning in your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter at freshinkgroup.com. Check out Voice of Indie every Wednesday on Blog Talk Radio and catch hundreds of episodes archived everywhere from our websites to our YouTube channel and Spotify.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DV.com.